How's your Boulders Gate run going?
Very well, very well.
You're on this is your 4th, 5th, 6th run through?
Well, I finished one run through completely.
You finished one completely?
Completely, yeah. But this is probably my 6th attempt at a run through. And by attempt, I just mean I've just gone through and just played the game a lot.
Not because you failed, but because you felt you needed to start it over because you've gotten new information.
Yeah, I would learn something and go, well, that's really cool. I want to try that out, but I would want to try it out from the start.
What's your character now?
Paladin that has just multi-classed into Warlock. So I can get the Booming Blade cantrip. Booming Blade.
Cantrips it's originally a D&D term, right? Like
I believe so,
It's like kicking the can down the road, or I don't know if that's just like made up.
I think you made that up.
I always heard that's where the
but
term
is that really where it's from?
You just kick the can down the road. You're not actually advancing. You just like keep moving, sort of.
Oh, I could see that.
But
yeah.
I don't know if that's just like what someone told me, and I was like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
In a D&D setting, though, I use cantrips primarily as like good attacks. Like, okay, I'm out of my good spell slot attacks, so now I have my backup attacks.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about D&D to really know.
The only things I know about D&D are from Boulders Gate 3, so I have a very limited knowledge, and Boulders Gate 3 is not perfect D&D from what I understand.
Boulders Gate is originally from Dungeons & Dragons. It's a Dungeons & Dragons setting. Is that true?
It's using Dungeons & Dragons lore and Dungeons & Dragons play styles to basically create your own D&D campaign that's like already mapped out for you, basically.
Okay, so there's no Dungeon Master per se. Are you the Dungeon Master, or
the Dungeon Master is the game?
Is the game.
The game.
Okay.
Like there's a narrator that like is technically the Dungeon Master who's telling you everything, but you in like a role-playing game scenario get to choose the directions you go, the dialogue that you interact with people, and there's different options depending on the race of the character you pick and the class of the character that you pick too.
And this time that you've gone through your 6th or 7th or whatever, it's going. You're not going to restart. It's going well.
No, it's going well. So normally I just play on balanced difficulty just because I just don't care. I just like to go through the game for fun. But I'm trying tactician difficulty because there's a gold trophy. Yeah, it's the next higher one. There's a gold trophy I can get.
A digital gold trophy.
And I love my trophy score on PlayStation. It means nothing to anyone.
No one cares.
And no one knows what my trophy score is either.
But you know.
But I know what it is, and I just love getting trophies.
When someone talks about video games, do you think in your head, I probably have more trophies than you do?
Oh, I know they have more trophies than I do. A lot of the time, yeah.
Should we talk about Magic?
Let's talk Magic, yeah. But it's going good. I'm on a tactician playthrough. I'm going to get this achievement.
Fuck yeah.
And it's going to go great. I love it.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about Universes Beyond. Oh, that's so funny that we were talking about another universe for the whole intro of this thing. That's connected. I knew that. We did that on purpose.
You know, it's especially funny to me because Dungeons & Dragons was the first Universes Beyond set that we had, and no one cared.
Yeah.
Because it's still Wizards adjacent. I think that's why people were okay.
Is that true?
Dungeons & Dragons is owned by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason why people didn't care that we had cross-blending IPs all of a sudden.
But we didn't have cross-blending IPs first with them. Was it first with them? I thought first it was with The Walking Dead. Or Godzilla. Godzilla was first.
I guess Godzilla was.
Or like My Little Pony was first. Or like Arabian Nights was first.
I guess technically Arabian Nights was first, and no one cared about that either.
How do you feel about Universes Beyond on the whole?
Oh, I love Universes Beyond, yeah. And it's continuing to grow on me as we get more universes that I'm attached to, and I feel like they just keep hitting flavor out of the park with them.
Yeah, I think they've been doing a good job. I also, too, overall like them. I think it's been an awesome success for the game. Is it worth it? Should we talk about a concern of Universes Beyond? Because I have a small concern about it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
I think it brings in a lot of temporary collectors, which is awesome. And it's really good for the quarterly sales of Magic, for sure. But I'm not, and this is, I don't know, have any data on this. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe this is the case. But I don't know that I am confident that temporary collectors that just happen to like whatever IP we're in right now and collected for that reason, I don't think they're going to stay around and continue playing Magic more. And I wonder, like, is that potentially not good for long-term growth of Magic?
See, I
hate to be a nag.
I know that Mark Rosewater has talked about this, and he's found that returning players, like players who played Magic before, who have a universe that we're in now that they like, are returning to Magic and staying around longer
because they have the backstory of Magic.
Exactly, as opposed to just like some someone who's coming in new to Magic off like a Magic set, they play it once and then they're like, okay, that was fun, but they don't just get attached. Like, it helps people find an extra way to get attached to it. Like, I got attached to Magic because I really like card games. Like, it almost didn't matter. As long as it was a better card game, I was gonna like it. A lot of people need something else to be attached to in order to get into what we all know is already the best game in the fucking universe. Some people just need like their third eye to be open to realize that.
And I guess it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it might push a few people away, but just because everyone who comes temporarily might not stay, that's a very minor thing in comparison to some of them do stay. And the ones that do stay get to continue to experience Magic, and we get more players, which is great.
What does stay mean? Because I have a coworker from my old job who got into Magic because of Lord of the Rings. She had no experience with Magic before, just knew that I loved it, and we had the channel. Does she play now? Does she play with other sets now? She plays now, but like she has Lord of the Rings like commander decks, and she does not play often, but like she knows Magic, and she can interact with Magic now because of this. So like, what does stick around mean? Does she have to come to the store every night? Does she have to?
Well, I don't know. Yeah,
subscribe to Play to Win, or like can she just have decks casually?
Of course,
and now like maybe she will buy products in the future. There just needs to be another universe that we go to that she's going to be connected to or something.
But you're right. She doesn't need to. Magic is kind of cool that you can enjoy it from every different kind of way. You can enjoy it just because she likes Lord of the Rings and that's it, or you can enjoy it because you want to see what the new Magic cards are coming out.
I think it's scary to have to say that you're only into Magic if you're engaging with the buying of product every time there's a new set that comes out. Wow, I feel really strongly about this. I never thought about this before.
You didn't know
like,
you had this opinion.
That sounds really toxic to be like, you're only into Magic if you're buying every single product that comes out. Like,
well, and that's not what I'm saying.
I know that's not what you're saying, but like I feel like we create a slippery slope where that becomes what being into Magic is. Like, you have to be a whale in order to have your voice heard. And I don't like that thought.
That is kind of like, I don't know, the collector mindset brings that. You know what I mean? That brings that out. And I'm saying that I guess I want the players who come in, I want them to experience Magic, and I want them to play the game more than just collect the items as collector pieces than do nothing.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is you don't want more whales coming into the game and then like creating this barrier.
It creates a lack afterwards. Once we stop doing Universes Beyond and the whales go, now all the Magic numbers plummet, and then the game has to fire people or do something bad because the numbers can't keep up because we run out of IPs or something like that. And the players only cared about their one product, and now they don't give a shit anymore. That's kind of what I'm like talking about. Like, and obviously Wizards is a billion-dollar company. They know what they're doing. They have a plan for the future. But my fear is like the long-term plan. If the people that are coming in, if they're temporary, does that mean something bad happens to the game when they all go?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that master sets will return, and what we'll get instead of modern masters and stuff like that is we'll get Universes Beyond masters, because a lot of these cards don't really have very flavorful spots that you can put in other sets. Yeah. Like Black Mage's Rod. How do you fit this like very Final Fantasy card into another world?
Yeah, Universes Beyond Masters is a perfect way to just say this is the what's the key video game? You know what I'm talking about?
Kingdom Hearts?
Kingdom Hearts. This is the Kingdom Hearts set of the Magic. This is just all the characters from the different places all in the one thing.
We don't care about like the flavor of the world, but they can still focus on it being a really good draft environment while having VV available as a reprint, while having like Warhammer 40K, because now we're at a point where we're distanced enough from 40K where like a lot of those cards are starting to get really expensive because they're not seeing reprints and at least not in their 40K artworks. But this could be a way, and maybe they have to like change the way that they do contracts with companies.
How does that work? The like, contract they have for the IP is
spend a little bit of extra money.
Is it only a certain amount of time?
That's the thing. Like I don't know what that would be for that set, but I'm sure that like they could change things moving forward, that they can be like name an IP.
40K.
Hey, no, I meant one we haven't done.
Pokemon.
Hey, Pokemon, if you want cards, part of our contract clause is going to be you have to be okay with when we do reprints with the art that we used in future master sets or something like that. Otherwise, because here's something else. Have you seen any of the arena versions of the Spider-Man cards that they've done so far?
Yes, I have.
Who's to say we just don't get like in-universe versions of these other cards in like other sets then too,
Originally, they kind of like promised that like that was going to be the case. Remember, that was the thing.
But now that we're doing full sets, we're not gonna like every single common. We're not gonna be able to get.
Does there still remain a promise that like we're gonna get an in-universe version of Deadpool? Like, is that gonna happen?
Probably not. Probably not. Especially because the fact that we're getting full sets, we're now like, are they gonna have to do in-universes versions of all all of the cards that were in Final Fantasy, including the commons and all the uncommons too, instead of just like secret layers. Like when they were only doing secret layers, it was just Walking Dead and Street Fighter. That's 8 characters that are just easy to make up fucks that no one's gonna give a shit about just to shut a couple of people up.
Yeah, but I wonder. I want to go and double check to see if they have said anything about that. If they, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding what they had said previously before correctly too, because I thought I was under the impression that they said everything was going to get an in-universe version, and I don't remember an announcement saying when they said, never mind, we're not doing that anymore.
I don't think we've gotten an announcement, but we have gotten other in-universe versions of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared for that question to pull this up, but I know there's a lot of other creators out there that have talked about that in a lot of other detail. So yeah, so we have gotten some other stuff that has come out that's still in-universe, but it's not really talked about because I think the majority of people just like don't care about the in-universe versions of it. In the reality of things now, the in-universe version is just way more confusing to me. When I'm looking up,
I agree.
When I'm looking up stuff like on Scryfall, when you go to the Universes Beyond, like you just search for all Universes Beyond legendary creatures and you want to find Ryu from Street Fighter, he's not alphabetically categorized under Ryu, but the card image is Ryu when you go through all the Universes Beyond cards. He's categorized alphabetically by his in-universe version, which if you don't know the name of, because who knows the name of it, ultimately, I think that the people complaining about needing in-universe versions of cards because they don't like Universes Beyond are actually making Magic significantly more complicated by requiring all kinds of things with Magic culture to have to go align with the fact that they can't handle the fact that this is here.
What you're saying is a little bit aggressive, but I agree. Yeah, that's what you were about to say, is that was a little bit aggressive.
That was very aggressive, but like...
But I agree.
I feel like I have to be aggressive to get the point across,
If you want to limit your aspect of playing the game, you don't want to play with the Universes Beyond things, I think that's great and fine. Don't play with them. I think it's kind of strange to kind of like ask for Wizards to make it so that you can still play in-universe versions of these cards. Should we talk about Universes Beyond cards?
This episode's going to be
got really derailed.
Okay, so what we want to do for this episode is I got a bunch of Universes Beyond commanders here, and I want to talk about the best ones.
The best ones from each universe.
From each universe, yeah, kind of. There's some universes that if we decide that we don't want to, they're too bad or we shouldn't include them as like the best, we can skip them over.
Okay,
but cool. I will note that we're not going to talk about Universes Beyond cards that have reskinned cards of other Magic characters. So like the SpongeBob set, right? All the SpongeBob cards.
There's nothing new there. We're not talking about that. We're talking about specifically existing only in the exterior.
So this also means we're not talking about cards from the following universes. Creepshow, Evil Dead, Princess Bride, Arcane, Fortnite, Hatsune Miku, Monty Python, Ghostbusters, Child's Play, and the aforementioned SpongeBob.
Okay, now not talking about any of those cards.
Not talking about cards from any of those. They have nothing new to give us. And as a matter of fact, we're also not talking about Jurassic Park commanders because they all suck too.
Nothing. Were they original cards in there?
We got some original cards. Yeah, we got the Blue Raptor and we got a Chris, what's his name?
Chris Pratt, yeah.
Chris Pratt.
He was doing that thing.
Doing the thing, yeah. I had Chris Parnell and Chris Pine in my head, and I could not think of Chris Pratt.
Do you have a list of all of these sets that we are going to talk about?
I do, yeah. I do.
Should we give a forewarning? It should be a surprise.
It should be a surprise. Okay, yeah. Cool. I mean, literally every other universe is listed here, though.
I also really quick just want to pause I wanted to say this about at the end of what we were talking about for the first 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
I do like Universes Beyond. I think it's awesome. My one little hesitation is a small hesitation.
I forgot to ask you about that.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to make it clear that like I'm not bashing on Universes Beyond. Do not take this as like me saying Universes. No, Universes Beyond is awesome. It's done so many cool, positive, good things. I have one little unsurety of it. That's all. Universes Beyond is sick. I'm glad that this is how Magic is.
I think you're allowed to think something is cool while also having like one reservation.
A little tiff about it. A little something I'm not sure of. And I do like the in-universe stuff too. It's awesome. The in-universe stuff is cool, but I don't know. Nostalgia is sweet, and so is Universes Beyond. That's it. Let's talk about some cards.
All right, so let's go in mostly the order that these cards came out in.
Mostly.
And
we say mostly here, so it's okay if it's wrong.
Exactly, because I know I missed one and had to go back and backtrack. Okay. So the first ever Universes Beyond set that we got for a non-Wizards of the Coast IP, because I'm not doing D&D stuff for this. That felt lame.
I'm just kind of confused because we did a full D&D set, right? Is that the thing you're talking about?
We did 2 D&D sets.
That was the first Universes Beyond, didn't we? I could have sworn Walking Dead was first.
Walking Dead might have been first.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're right. Walking Dead was first, and then we did a full set D&D stuff, and then I was like,
was it that
why
early
is
on?
Everyone so mad about Universes Beyond when we have D&D characters now in Magic cards? So you are right, I think.
Okay, great. I love being right.
Great. So The Walking Dead was a secret lair that only had a specific number of Walking Dead characters, and the only one that was reasonable, I think, was Glenn.
Glenn was almost good. Glenn's almost cool. Glenn draws cards on a cheap mana-costed creature.
Yeah, he's 1, a white, and a blue for a 1/3 human with Skulk, which makes him difficult to block because he can only be blocked by creatures with greater power. And when he deals combat damage to a player, you draw cards equal to his power.
Right, so if you slap some equipments on, I don't know. Realistically, it's not a cEDH card. And I've liked it in Commander and just casual Commander. If you have an equipment deck, if you're doing auras, put a bunch on him. You can draw a bunch of cards. That's neat. It's a cool effect, but never good in cEDH.
No, never good in cEDH. We'll find that in general, having to attack with your commander, I don't like. Yeah. And then we got Stranger Things commanders then.
Stranger Things, these are also almost good, some of them.
I have a couple of entries for this because they all have like partner with.
They have friends forever.
That's what it is, which is kind of like partner with, but only for other things with friends forever.
Right, yes.
Which I'm surprised we don't get more of in other universes beyond.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah, if we got another IP that would make sense to have friends forever, and then you can pair them up with the Stranger Things
Are
kids.
there no other friends that have, or no other IPs that have friends?
Isn't
maybe
like,
Friends when we go to Friends?
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be
you
so
can pair
funny.
Joey with Chandler.
And Ross with 11.
No, they don't have friends forever. Friends just have friends.
Oh,
Their
no, I think
mechanic
it's
is
funny
just
if they also have friends forever. And
No,
for no reason.
I do like that. No, you're right. You're right. That is a better one.
I have seen from these pairings, I've seen Will and
Lucas.
That's what it is.
You can do that with Luris, and then you can get like mini blue farm build that only loses out on Ranger, Captain of Eos, and Heuristic Study.
And Necropotence.
Which
is like arguably it loses out on
right.
the two best card advantage engines of the format, specifically right now.
Because when this deck was bigger and like more people were on different kinds of Friends Forever piles, I feel like it was before we had Born Upon the Wind. It was before we had like the busted flash enablers that made Necro better than Ad Naus. Yeah.
I've also seen 11 and the black white one, Will.
Yeah. Because that's also just another blue farm variant.
Another blue farm variant, two commanders that roughly draw cards-ish. Will works as a combo piece, right? You can flicker Will infinitely for something.
Is Will Bjorna or Wernog?
The black-white one.
See, even
I think Bjorna is the blue-red one.
the hyperlink, when you copy a hyperlink from Scryfall, it says the in-universe name of the character.
Two cards with the same effect that have completely different names. That's confusing.
Magic players ruining their own shit.
Well,
we always
Magic players didn't ruin it. Wizards made the choice.
Oh, I guess that's true.
We can always blame Wizards.
Well, we could go back farther. We can blame whoever created Stranger Things for creating such a good show.
Or whoever created humans. Let's blame God.
Oh, you know what?
None of this would have happened if not for God.
God, hit the fucking reset button. This is the most controversial podcast we've ever had. Cubby's got his work cut out for him. All right, Will the Wise, is a black and a white, and when he enters the battlefield, each opponent may investigate, and each opponent who doesn't loses a life. So there's ways that you can have Will the Wise infinitely enter the battlefield.
Right, I think. And then you give your opponent infinite, what does it give them? Treasures? Clues, infinite clues, and then there's certain ways that you can make more of those clues and use the clues that you're given to draw your deck, and then if you don't draw your deck, they don't give you the clues, they take a damage.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, you'll always make more clues because you investigate X times where X is 1 plus the number of opponents who investigate it.
Yeah.
So if all 3 of your opponents investigate, you get 4 clues to each of their 1 clue.
Right. But you do also, it does give out cards, which just sucks. That's not good at all, right? That's not good for cEDH.
That is a problem, yeah.
But a little bit better now that Dockside's gone. You don't have to risk putting out more treasures for Dockside.
Nice.
That was an issue with it a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, and I've seen other builds that play Max, Daredevil as well, which is another one that can investigate, but only has you investigate. So it's just nice that you can build whatever color combination you want. You can do Max and 11 for green Grixis or something like that. So there's a lot of flexibility, which I think is kind of nice. That makes these better than Glenn, I think.
Should we talk about 11 also? Because I think 11 is the other reason why some of these can be paired, because 11 is just mediocre card advantage in the command zone, which is sometimes all right.
Yeah, because 11 says that your maximum hand size is 11, and when she attacks, you draw a card and then lose a life. And if you have 11 or more cards in your hand, you can cast an instant or sorcery for free.
If you have 11 or more cards in your hand on your turn, you're probably already in a pretty good spot, but getting a little free mana boost is like nice. It's very pip intensive. You got to get her out. You got to untap. You got to attack. You got to do all that.
It's just nice that one of these has card advantage in some kind of a way.
Yeah, as long as Blue Farm exists, realistically, I don't think this deck can ever be like a top deck. You know what I mean? But if Tymna ever gets banned, I don't know. This could be something.
Friends Forever, it would still probably be better than having one commander in the command zone.
Right. Does Blue Farm even really care about Tymna Crom that much? Like, yes, they're nice or whatever, but like the 99 is still the same. You'll still win games.
Yeah, I think that you go into this if you want to not be as scary and you want to play a little bit faster. Like, because Blue Farm with the card advantage in the command zone allows you to sit back and play into more mid-range, but you can speed up your deck a little bit more by having two mana commanders that will allow things like Mox Amber to be a little bit better, will allow things like Culling the Weak to be a little bit better.
That's if you do the black-white one and the blue-red one. Will and Lucas. Boom. Yeah, these are better than Glenn. Should we move on to the next one?
Let's talk about Warhammer 40K next.
There's some reasonable ones here.
There's some reasonable ones. There was really one reasonable one. Yeah, because the other one that people thought about was Abaddon, because it was like, oh, you get a weirdly better Yidris, but only in Grixis.
Yeah.
But commanders that have to attack aren't good.
Yeah, the commanders that have to attack when like that's your plan A aren't good. Obviously, Tymna's good because Tymna wants to attack, but Tymna like doesn't care. You know what I mean?
It's incidental.
It's like extra. It's not like your main game plan. It's just like your card advantage. Yeah. No one can afford to get rid of the Tymna because there's more threatening things.
But like Xur's not great anymore because it's super telegraphed. Everyone knows what you're going for.
Xur wins the game. You must kill Xur.
That's
true.
At least Xur wins.
Tymna, you unfortunately have to let it go because it's just a couple cards. You know what I mean? It changes the way people are going to be able to use their interaction on you.
Yeah. So I don't think that Abaddon ends up being very good, but I do like Marnius Calgar quite a bit. Only if you're good at talking.
A little bit. You got to be able to chat a little bit. You got to stay alive until turn 3 or 4.
And I think talking is what helps you do that a lot of the time. Like if there's a turbo deck at the table and you only have a little bit of interaction, you need to be able to get your opponents to also realize where the threat is at the right time, so that way not only are they off your back, but it gives you time to establish yourself for the inevitable win that you're trying to go for. You just need that inevitability.
Especially, I have found that the deck is like oftentimes on turn 1 and 2, it's like trying to tap out for little guys. It's trying to like tap out for a couple token makers. It wants to get the advantage established early. You got to just like stay alive, I feel like, because once the engines get out of control, then it becomes impossible for anyone else to stop you. But you are a little bit slower, I have found. Still a super good deck and way better than the Stranger Things ones.
Yeah, I think so too. It's funny how we're just like getting better and better and better so far.
Yeah, I would argue Marnius is like a cEDH deck through and through. It's not a gimmick. It's not like a worse version of another thing. Like you could play Tivit, you could play Tymna Malcolm. Both of those Esper decks are fine and dandy. I think Marnius is like just as good, if not a little bit better than both of them.
And just because it goes really well with things that are already good in cEDH, like Ocelot Pride's a little bit of like a synergy card, but Lotho and Smothering Tithe are just insane with Marnius, and those are things that you want to be doing in this color combination already. So when you can like lean into making those cards better, that's a really good spot to be at.
It allows for Esper to do what Esper wants to do, which is go slow and then go way over the top. I think it does that pretty well.
It's really good at that. Yeah. And then the Transformers.
Oh,
we did get some Transformers.
Were any of them good?
Slicer.
Yeah, we saw Slicer for a while. I still see it from time to time.
Just because it's a fun one, I think. People just like have fun watching people try to figure out what the hell they're supposed to do with the Slicer.
It does change the whole game around. It makes you pay attention to Slicer. It says everyone now there's a clock and it's right there. I have not seen Slicer to like really actually be great or get a lot of wins, but it does change the game, which is fun.
It does, yeah. It makes everyone have to play around it, and it got really popular because it won a cEDH tournament.
Yeah.
It just nobody knew what to do, but then once people figured out the math and figured out how to make sure everyone stays alive, because that is the best way to deal with a Slicer, it ended up not being very threatening in a lot of boards.
Yeah, that's definitely one that you get the Brewers advantage when you have it, and then once everyone figures out what your thing is, it's easy to stop you.
Yeah, exactly.
Still like a fine deck. I would probably, it's always tough. I would personally rather play the Stranger Things thing over Slicer.
Honestly, I'd rather play Glenn over Slicer just because I'm in better colors and at least I can draw cards.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm not super high on Slicer. It's interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
What's our next Universes Beyond set?
Lord of the Rings was the next set that we went to.
Ton of good cards from this.
Yeah.
Not a ton of commanders?
No, this was but much better for the 99, I think this set was. And although there were 2 cards that were for the 99.
Yeah, and although Lotho did recently top 4 the 20K, right?
I guess that's true. There were 3 cards for the 99, and Lotho is one of the commanders that I have here that I figured, like, that's probably one of the better options that the set gave us.
Certainly out of the 99, Lotho, I feel like if you're in black and white, it's like almost an auto include at this point, right?
It kind of is, yeah.
If
like,
you're in
why
both
would
those
you
colors.
not want it? Like, it's one of the best mana advantage engines. It makes treasures at almost an on-par rate of Smothering Tithe.
Yeah, it can. Like, it does a lot for such a low mana cost. You can trigger it yourself, which is so nice. If you, like, turn 2, Lotho, and then cast a spell afterwards, get the treasure right away. Kind of makes it feel like it was only 1 mana, and then very quickly it pays for itself, and then a ton extra. Big fan of Lotho, but for the commanders from the set, I mean, there's also, like, Orcish Bowmaster and the One Ring, obviously, as, like, incredible 99 cards from Lord of the Rings. But for the actual commanders, I know Sauron, we are going to have that on the channel soon, or maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure on the schedule. Sometime around now, we are actually going to have Sauron on the channel. And then who else? What are good Lord of the Rings commanders?
I'm a little distracted because I wanted to take a look at this Lotho deck because I realized I haven't looked at this yet. Dude, it's playing Benny Brack's Zoologist.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
This is really cool. That's actually fucking sweet in this deck. How does this deck win?
I think it there's like Blind Obedience, and then I think there was like Animated Loops with maybe Abdel or something.
There is Abdel Adrian in here. Okay, that makes sense. Wow, this deck looks so hard to pilot.
Yeah, it does look kind of tricky. There's a lot of weird cards that I have kind of deemed not so great, but with Lotho, you make a ton of mana.
You get the Brewer's advantage, I'll say. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can see it. It's cool to have a black-white option. We really haven't had like an Orzhov cEDH deck that has been like awesome. Like,
because it's hard to find something that's better than Tymna in the command zone, which means that why would you only play Tymna?
Right, because you can play other colors too.
Why would you only play Will the Wise when you have Friends Forever?
To be a 2-color commander, you kind of have to have a commander that's like broken. Like Atali exists because Atali is insane. There's no black-white commander that's like insane. Lotho is like good value, but it's not insane.
It's still not insane,
right?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, so which Sauron are we having on the channel? There's 2 Grixis Saurons, and I've seen both in cEDH.
Yeah, Peter brought the one that amasses when it enters, and then whenever opponent casts a spell, it amasses, and then when it attacks, you can like discard your hand and draw 4 cards.
He played the one that I think is better. Yeah. So it has Ward of Sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature. That's
like basically hexproof.
Yeah, this is the one from the main set, by the way. Sauron the Dark Lord for 3 Grixis, and it's a 7/6. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, amass Orcs 1. Whenever an army you control deals combat damage to a player, the ring tempts you. And whenever the ring tempts you, you may discard your hand and then draw 4 cards if you do.
Yeah, so it's like a big pivot in the command zone, sort of, except instead of being a combo piece and advantage, it's just like advantage and then a big threat. Like you just are making a huge orc this whole time. And
honestly, 2 big threats because it's a 7/6.
It's huge itself, yeah. So you get to, and then like on your turn, you like discard the extra lands and shit, I guess, that you don't want, and try to draw 4 cards and then hope that that's good.
You play the cards that are good out of those, and then the next turn you just rinse and repeat.
Do it again, right? Yeah, it seems good. Honestly, this card, like every time I see someone play this, it does the thing. It seems good. I do like it. It competes with Kefka now. It competes with, I guess, like Tevish Crom. It competes with Rogsai. It competes with a lot of other really good Grixis strategies.
Do you play extra combats in this deck?
I don't know.
Like, should it be like Narset, where you're just like, oh, extra combat or extra turn, and just like keep going through? Narset works because you get to cast it for free.
Yeah. Maybe extra turns.
Maybe extra turns would be more interesting,
though,
but that sounds like a bracket 4 deck now. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this deck is good. You're in Grixis. You got 99 good cards and then a big heaping thing in the command zone. I think that's like a fine spot to be. What have we talked about so far?
Oh, I have one more from the Lord of the Rings set too that people play.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Aragorn the Uniter.
Ooh.
The Sans Black food chain deck that is just struggling to do anything for value.
It has 100 words and basically none of them are good.
Because you have to cast another spell to get any kind of ability.
Yeah.
And depending on what color spell, depends on what you get.
What does it do?
If it's a white spell you cast, you get a 1/1 white human soldier. If you cast a blue spell, it's Scry 2. A red spell lets you deal 3 damage to an opponent. And a green spell lets you Titanic Growth a creature.
Squee, food chain over and over, squeeze a red spell, 3 damage, kill your opponents.
Yeah. That's something that's a food chain deck, so that's
that you
great.
Could do. Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. Is it better than Sauron or Lotho, though?
Definitely not. Certainly not.
Certainly not. Which of these 3 do you think is the best for cEDH?
It's tough. Lotho's only 2 mana, which is huge.
I love that.
But you're only in black and white, which stinks.
I don't like that.
Sauron is 6 mana, which is huge.
I don't love that.
But in a completely different meaning, but it's in Grixis colors, which is great.
I love that.
So, I don't know. I mean, Lotho has more recent results. we'll go there.
Probably Lotho.
Sauron's been on the channel recently, so I have a bias towards seeing it, and I thought it was really good.
I think I would say if I had to choose one, gun to my head, because this is already a really sketchy podcast.
Yeah, let's say gun more.
Yes. I would say Lotho is better.
Lotho's better.
Lotho's better. Yeah, and there's less competition that it has in the space that it exists in, too.
Yeah, Lotho, Sauron, and then the other one.
I would say that, yeah.
Aragorn.
And then we went to Doctor Whoville.
Okay, that's not what it's called.
The village that Doctor Who is from, I can't understand why it would not be called the Doctor Whoville.
Probably like licensing things with Dr. Seuss. Are Dr. Seuss and Dr. Are these two doctors related? Do they know each other?
I thought they were brothers, aren't they?
Doctor Who and Dr. Seuss.
That's how they got their whole shtick mixed up, right?
That's where Doctor comes from. Doctor Who and Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. All right, so River Song is, I think, really the only viable cEDH commander option that came out of the Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah, what does this one do?
She has 2 abilities. You draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top, which is really sketchy. And then whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches their library, you put a +1/+1 counter on River Song, and then River Song deals damage to that player equal to its power.
Oh, what's the mana value?
A 1 blue and a red.
1 blue and a red. Okay.
So they were like
Can
weird.
I see this card?
Yeah.
I don't know that. I feel like I've never seen this before in my life.
There's weird stuff that you remember now.
Okay,
there's weird stuff that you can do, like when an extra turn spell would resolve. There's cards that for a certain amount of mana can put a card from your graveyard under the bottom of your library, guaranteeing your extra turn spell that you just cast to be the card that you draw on your next turn.
Yeah.
So there were expensive
loops
that you
bracket
could do.
4 deck.
It kind of is, yeah. And like it dealt a wild amount of damage in cEDH though too. Like you would crack a fetch land, take 1, and then like take 6 off of a huge River Song, and that like would stop you from going through some of your like you couldn't Protean Hulk with a River Song in play because of all the searching you would have to do. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes, like there were certain lines like Anala was totally screwed, really good against Sisay. Like there are certain decks that just like it deals incremental damage to just as they're natural, like Magda, as you're like naturally going through your line.
Yeah.
Like you really have to be conscious about your life total against this blue-red deck of all things.
Yeah, that's a super interesting deck, and it does like a cool thing to the game that's going to make everyone think a little bit harder. So like,
and I think it won a cEDH tournament back in the day too. And I think what we're realizing is that like decks can do really well when they first come out, but there's a lot of like recency bias towards a lot of commanders, I think.
I think also what it is, dude, is like that your commander kind of like, I'm going to say it doesn't matter, and that's obviously not true because it does, because certain commanders see a lot more play. But I think good players are going to win kind of whoever, it doesn't matter who the commander is. I think being a good player is the best way that you can get wins. And I think more often than not, good players pick popular good decks because they're easy to win with and they're good. That's why, you know what I mean? They're good players. They knew what decks are the best. But I think like why that Lotho deck won or why this deck won, my first gut is the pilot was probably really good.
The pilot's really good,
you know what I mean? And yes, they benefit, of course, from a little bit of people don't know exactly what they're doing, and the brewer's advantage is all that. But like, you kind of just like, if you're a good pilot, I think you can kind of win with everything.
That's very true.
Right? Yeah.
That is very true. Yeah, the cards that you have are just tools for playing the game. Yeah, it's not like you can say, oh, Blue Farm won this cEDH tournament, but that's kind of disingenuous to the actual players that are doing the winning because they're the ones that are just using those tools to get there.
Right, yeah.
Timna and Crown didn't do shit.
Right, exactly. Sometimes Timna and Crown, you don't even cast them. They're not, you know what I mean? You want to do other stuff instead or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how good is this one, though? I would say probably a lot worse than some of the other ones that we've talked about. Are we comparing them to each other?
Kind of have been loosely is what it seems like we've been doing.
Yeah, so far it's like Marnius, Lotho, some other ones, and then this is like closer to the bottom.
This is kind of like, I think worse than Sauron the Dark Lord, because I would rather be in full-blown Grixis.
Yeah.
Still worse than Lotho, just because Lotho is such a good engine.
Yeah.
I think a better engine than River Song. I think I'd rather play like the Friends Forever pairs, too, just because of the flexibility that they have, color combinations that they can be in, and River Song's combo potential is so expensive, so hard to set up.
It is kind of funny how powerful just like 2 commanders is. Like having 2 commanders is such a high bar.
Starting with the 9 cards in your hand, like is really good.
Yeah, especially if any of those cards can do anything at all, like get you back off of a mulligan and stuff like that. We don't have to talk about why partners are good. We know that, but this one, I'm not the most excited to play this one for sure.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Lara Croft Tomb Raider, who's not really cEDH playable, but is another universe that we got. got.
Very cool card.
Worst one, though.
Yeah. It makes treasures maybe, right? Maybe I think it does make some advantage. It's not just like make stuff big.
When she attacks, you exile up to one target legendary artifact card or legendary land from your graveyard and put a discovery counter on it. You can play it as long as it has a discovery counter. Oh. And at the end of combat on your turn, if you attacked, you create a treasure.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, she's she's green, blue, and red, which is not a good color combination, unfortunately. Well, like all the best win conditions in this color combination are very tough to tutor for.
Yeah, or they're very Thrasios focused. That color combination is very Thrasios-ish.
Yes.
Right.
And really good at producing mana. Yeah. And she doesn't
really do anything with mana.
No.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, and we're going to move on to Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. There were some that I thought were actually really good for a while. I haven't seen a couple of them recently.
No, we really haven't seen a lot of them in the longevity side of things. I think the closest one that we got, though, was Dalsum.
Dalsum was cool, yeah.
Dalsum was really cool, yeah. The 2 green and a white for the 1/3 human monk, reach, hexproof unless he's attacking. And whenever a creature you control with reach attacks, untap it, and it can't be blocked by creatures with greater power this combat. And then Tymna text. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card.
Such a cool card. Again, anytime you compare to Tymna, of course you're going to go, well, why wouldn't I just play Tymna?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I just play Tymna, which will allow me, and then I play a green partner, maybe I play Thrasios, and then I can play green and white and do Tymna stuff.
And also black and blue on
and also black and blue. Now, obviously, like, there are, of course, reasons, but for Dalsum, the reasons is, well, this deck you get to play more reach creatures, and I say that's a bad reason.
Yeah, you want to play, like Deadly Recluse, like that's something that is not great.
I guess you could like Earthcraft maybe is a little bit better because you do more basics. Maybe this can be like a Gaia's Cradle type of deck now, but then again, Thrasios is a pretty good Gaia's Cradle deck.
That's the thing, yeah. I feel like where this wants to be is like a Staxier creature-based deck that almost doesn't care about the reach thing and just wants to get more cards by dealing players combat damage.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you want to play green-white stacks, if like you're like dead set on that strategy, I mean, Yasharn is good, but this is also good.
This was, it depends on what you want out of the command zone. Do you want to put more card advantage in your deck so that you can draw more cards and then put a stacks piece in the command zone? Or do you just want to rely on drawing stacks pieces because you're going to draw 3 to 4 cards a turn with your commander?
Right, yeah. I don't know the answer to that. I personally like Yasharn. If I was going to play a green-white stacks build, that's the direction that I would go. You want the consistency. Like, I want to be able to plan that, like, this is the stacks piece that I can play around, and I make sure that I have it every game, and then I have to find other stacks pieces that complement this stacks piece.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
If you're like trying to target a metagame, I feel like you want consistency with your
I want
target,
my commander to be that stacks piece, but like I also would want to make sure that the metagame I'm going into would facilitate that my commander is a strong stacks piece to have.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about like Lavinia. I wonder if stacks could come back and maybe Lavinia was the answer because
like the knowledge pool thing. Yeah, you can like lock out the whole table.
It does. Lavinia has like a 1-card combo that effectively locks out the table with knowledge pool. Yeah, which is really good because the issue that a lot of stacks like have is they can't win the game fast enough. They have either 2-card combos or maybe Blood Pod had a 1-card combo, but it still just couldn't lock up the game quick enough. And maybe Lavinia would be one that could like your opponents could say like, okay, we can concede to this because we can't play any more spells.
And it's nice that it's only opponents that she affects too. So even if you start from behind when you get the knowledge pool lockout, you can still build your way into being ahead because your opponents can't do anything else. They have to rely on what's on board.
Yeah, that being said, I don't know. Like we talked about Lavinia because of the new Spider Girl. That's a stacks piece. That's a blue-white card.
Yeah, like what would a stacks piece look like in the command zone that you would want to play?
And yeah, maybe Lavinia. But I don't think stacks is good right now.
No, I don't think stacks is good right now, which I think is what makes Dalsum not so good right now too. So unfortunately, I think is also probably even worse than River Song right now.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather play River Song in a better color combination and technically a better strategy. Like if I just get to play Brainstorm, LED, Brain Freeze, and Underworld Breach in my deck, I feel like I'd rather do that.
Yeah, 99. Having a better 99 is better than having an interesting commander for CEDH.
Then we moved on to the Fallout universe. The Fallout universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there anything from this?
We got 2 bug food chain commanders.
Oh, yeah.
That we've talked about a little bit. Yeah. We got the Master Transcendent and we got the Wise Mothman, which both do stuff with rad counters. So you can give your opponents infinite rad counters by going through the food chain line and then recasting these commanders infinitely. Master Transcendent version of the deck can lean a little bit more into a reanimation strategy because you can target yourself with rad when it's advantageous for you in the hopes that you mill over like a Nezahal or something. You can reanimate your own Nezahal. The Wise Mothman is just a bit more of like a beat down strategy, helps like like mill out the rest of your table and deal a lot more damage.
Yeah.
Works better if you want to play things like Blood Chief's Ascension in your deck and just like try to take out your opponents with damage as your backup win condition as opposed to Food Chain.
I don't really have anything to say about these commanders. Do you have anything? Really, as a Food Chain deck, I think that they're cool, but besides that, I overall don't think that they're great.
They compete with Ukama in this color combination, which if you want to go fast, which I think you want to do with Food Chain, Ukama's a little bit better. Wise Mothman doesn't even let you stall out the board. Wise Mothman wants you to play the longer game, but doesn't give you tools to play the longer game.
Right,
It just helps you deal damage if ad nauseum decks are something you think you're going to come up against.
Right, yeah.
So I think Ukama, and also just like winning off of just Ukama and not having to like pass the turn then, I think is also way safer.
Right, yeah, I agree. I like Ukama a lot more. I think it gives you, it allows you to like have like the permission almost to go faster. Like your backup strategy is so bad, don't even bother. And if you're not going to do the backup strategy either way, Ukama's win is cleaner, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to play cards that are synergistic with my commander in a turbo deck that's just trying to win.
Right.
Like Atali's different because Atali's way that it turbos is just all mana to cast Atali. That's the only reason why it synergizes with my commander.
Right, and you want to exile Atali to Food Chain to make more mana to recast Atali.
Exactly. That's how I'm going to get more Food Chain mana and how I'm going to get more cards that way too, right?
It's like specifically helpful. Like Atali is only red pips, so you know what I mean? Whereas like this is all 3 pips, so you can't really like use Food Chain in like a way that helps your strategy in the middle, whereas Atali can use it in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not a huge fan of these commanders, but there are options that you have. If you really like Food Chain and if you really like Fallout, I think these are things you can do.
These are things you can do for sure.
Yeah. And then we went to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And there's only one commander here that we got that saw cEDH play.
Ezio.
That would be Ezio. Yeah. We have someone that comes out to a lot of play to win events that does the no lands version of this
Super
Ezio
sick.
deck, which is super sweet. But it's another one of these commanders that you could play Luris if you didn't want to do the no lands version.
Yeah. Or you can just play 5-color good stuff, which I think is probably your best bet.
I would think so too, yeah. Well, I think you've convinced me now from playing Terra that 5-color good stuff is just really good.
It's just good.
It's just good. Yeah, you can play Terra in the command zone. You can play
I've been loving
the
Terra,
Chromatic Bridge one.
Yeah, sure.
Too. Like there's
the one
a
that
lot
makes
of
mana
stuff.
Asika,
yeah. So if you want a 2-mana commander that does nothing this time, but at least turns on Mox Amber a little bit better, I think that
Ezio is a good option.
Ezio was a really good option, yeah.
Realistically, like we've talked about, like the best ways to win games of cEDH is like one, be a good player. The second one is like have a good 99, and the third one is have a good commander. And Ezio gets to do, if you're a good player and you have a good 99, you're already 2/3 of the way there. So like you don't really have a great commander, but I think like 5-color good stuff is so powerful. 5-color Breach, 5-color Ad Nauseam, 5-color Necro. That strategy is just so good.
I think this makes it better than the Friends Forever commanders then too. This is kind of like outclasses all of them because it does what all of them do, and that they allow you to be the 5-color player without being the scary 5-color player because your commander doesn't really do anything.
Right, yeah.
But it's the same rate as all of the cheap ones except easier to cast because it's just a black and a generic.
Yeah, it turns on Mox Amber easier. It turns on all that other shit that you need. If you want to hold up Fierce or Deflecting Swat and play those things, it turns those things on easier. Like little things that don't feel like they come up but can come up, where like you can use your extra Soul Ring mana to pay for Ezio and then leave up your blue mana, whereas before you needed to tap your Underground Sea to play Will or something like that, whereas now you can leave up mana where you otherwise wouldn't be able to. I think small things like that is what like weirdly gives competitive decks their edge.
Yeah.
And Ezio kind of has that. So it's kind of funny that where it's like the text of the card we didn't even read. We can read. It does do something, but black, generic, legendary in the command zone, that's 5 colors. That's what it is. That's good.
That's really all it needs to be because it's rare you're attacking a player with less than 10 life to take them out of the game because it's worth spending Wooburg mana on that then. Right.
Yeah.
So instead, this actually makes Ezio probably the second best commander that we're talking about just behind Marnius because the other thing that we're noticing is that like Universes Beyond is, I think, something that Wizards is very aware of, the ability to push some of these commanders to be too powerful and then ruining other universes for certain people. So I think now that especially they're in Standard, we're not getting like modern exclusive Universes Beyond.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the legendary creatures that we're going to get, we'll get VVs sometimes.
I was just going to say.
But like even then, VV's not topping cEDH tournaments. It's doing great in Standard, but that's because Agatha's Soul Cauldron is so good and you can play 4 VVs, right? right? But on the commander side of things, yeah, Vivi's going to do some messed up stuff in bracket 4, but bracket 4 is a messed up space to be in anyway.
Right, yeah. I have seen Vivi do cool things in cEDH, but it hasn't...
Me too. I've done cool things with Vivi.
It hasn't dominated tournaments yet. We haven't really seen it. We've seen it a little bit. I've seen it in a couple top 16s, whatever, but I don't know that I've seen it win anything yet. It's not like it's taking over the way Nadu was. Like, even though it is similar in what it does.
It feels similar in what it does.
Yeah.
And just like once it gets its thing going, it becomes nigh unstoppable.
Right, yeah.
But I think they are very conscious about the power level of a lot of these legendary creatures. And they're like purposefully making sure that we're not getting like a Frodo Baggins that's the most cracked thing ever.
It does feel in a way that they are pretty aware of cEDH. Like they know what cards are powerful. They know how to make cards just 1 or 2 extra mana to make sure that they aren't too powerful. Most of the time, there's mistakes obviously with like Vivi and stuff, but I would argue at this point that they are aware of what cEDH is.
Oh yeah, and I think they're learning the words that cEDH players don't want to see.
Yeah.
Which are words like when you attack with this creature.
Once each turn.
Yeah, once each turn, right? Like there's certain things that we all go, damn, tapped, enters tapped.
Which is kind of cool because it allows them to still give the thing the effect that they want it to give, which is the digging for information or making resources or something like that, but they get to cap it from being too broken in cEDH by saying once a turn or when you attack or whatever like that. So I think that's like very good like game building technique. There's a better term for that, but I think that's great when they do stuff like that and makes it so that certain cards aren't cEDH playable because otherwise it would be too much.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. All right, so moving on from Assassin's Creed, next we got our first glimpse into the Marvel universe then.
Oh, okay.
And this is when we got the secret lair that had a bunch of the X-Men, Captain America, and Iron Man in there too. And I think the best out of them was probably Storm. And even then, Storm was not great.
So that one was a kind of a weird one because I felt a couple of them were close. Storm, even Captain America, and Iron Man. They felt like they were kind of close. I mean, like, I don't know. I've seen Iron Man do some reasonable things. I've also kind of seen it do nothing. Do you know what I mean? But it has words on it that I like. Should we read those 3 cards real quick just to say what they are? Because I think those are like, if you want to play Marvel and you're like, all I care about is X-Men and all I care about is cEDH and I want to do these things, I do think 2 or 3 of these 2 that we're going to talk about are okay.
So Storm, Force of Nature, has flying and vigilance, and when she deals combat damage to a player, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm, which is pretty nice. It just sets up weird play patterns, though, I think.
Yeah. This is a perfect example of like forcing her to have to attack makes this a little bit tricky. Given anything Storm is crazy, I think the best thing that I've seen this is just simply like Eldritch Evolution or Neoform or something like that.
Yeah.
Copying a tutor is nuts.
Because you can't do traditional Storm stuff where you build up like a bunch of mana and then expect that you can get like a big thing after that, because you have to go to combat, which is going to make all your mana empty.
So realistically, I feel like what you're doing is like untapping with Storm, play like Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Elvish Mystic. For some reason, I have held on to these things still. Attack with Storm, and then copy and get 3 copies of the thing that I cast.
Now my Court of Calling gets me 3 creatures.
Sure, something like
instead,
that.
Yeah.
It's hoops that you have to jump through, but the hoops seem cool. Again, this is another one that seems like it would like dominate in bracket 4 and is like always just a little bit shy in cEDH.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if Kess isn't going to be good in cEDH, Storm, Force of Nature can't be either.
Right.
But Iron Man is 3 a blue and a red for a 4/4 with flying and haste. And when he attacks, you create a treasure, and then you may sacrifice a non-creature artifact. And if you do, you search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact's mana value, put it into play tapped, and then shuffle.
So like, it's crazy that Tinker's in the command zone and we don't care at all.
But it's like not Tinker though. It's so
not Tinker, but it's like close. What's the Tinker? Is there a Tinker Neoform that exists? Does such a card already exist?
We have a new card that's called Repurposing Bay.
Okay.
That is a birthing pod. I think that's a better. It's 2 and a blue for one but the activation is 1 and a blue and tap it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's obviously not Tinker, right? But it's close.
It's close.
It's at times going to get you the exact perfect artifact that you need.
It's a tutor in the command zone, which is
like Oswald.
Cracked.
It's like Oswald in blue red, except Oswald's white. Oswald's 2 converted mana value.
And
this is
chainable
5.
is the other thing. You can untap Oswald and get his ability again. Like with this being a triggered ability makes it way worse.
Right. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, because normally I like triggered abilities in cEDH more.
Yeah.
Because triggered abilities, my opponents can trigger them and I can get value off of me not having to do stuff. But activated abilities, I have to put my own resources into. So normally I like them a little bit less, but this is a scenario where I like this triggered ability less than Oswald's activated ability.
I wonder, is this, put it in tapped? I was like, I wonder if this is like a cool One Ring deck. No, it's
no,
like still
Yeah,
Not only do you not get the cast trigger, which who cares, but it comes in tap, so it's not even like you can start
your
going.
key draws you one card.
Yeah, then that's so bad. Okay.
What was the other? Captain America.
Captain America has a weird combo that I don't think is a real one with like one of the. It has a weird combo with one of the untappers, I think.
Captain America is typical Jeskai commander that just needs card advantage instead of combo potential, and it would be good. Yeah. So it costs Jeskai for a 4/4 legendary human soldier hero. For 3 mana, you can throw your shield by untapping an equipment from Captain America to deal damage equal to the equipment's mana value divided among 1, 2, or 3 targets. And then you can catch your shield at the beginning of combat on your turn and attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America.
Can I see it? I forget what the combo was. There was a line that involved a couple cards.
Already, I don't like it then. If it's more than 1 card, like if there was 1 equipment I could attach and reattach, I think that'd be good.
I think the combo I was thinking of is just infinite mana, because if you just make infinite colorless mana and you spend 3 to unattach the equipment from Captain America, he deals the damage to any targets, and then you use the infinite mana to re-equip it, and then you spend 3 mana to unattach and equip it. So it's just like if you can make infinite colorless mana, this is an outlet.
Oh, okay.
Right? Is that good though? There's other commanders that do that. We didn't even talk about that. I don't even think we said what Marnius does. We didn't even talk about how Marnius has with infinite mana it can draw the deck. We didn't mention that, but
no, we didn't. Weirdly gotten more thorough as the podcast continued. And normally I feel like it's the other way around. Yeah. I feel like it's just not as good as Storm.
Because not only do you need the infinite mana, but you also need an equipment.
I need to put a bad equipment in my deck to make this work. Yeah. And like, what equipment makes this worth it? That like, not only do I need an infinite, I guess, like not only do I need an infinite colorless mana combo or just an infinite mana combo in Jeskai in general, but I also need to be able to have like an equipment though too.
One of like the Pip-Boy 3000s that like allows you like untap a land or something.
Maybe that's almost good. Maybe like
Clamp.
A weird equipment that has a little bit of upside that like this is how you finish the game after you Underworld Breach.
Sure, to make but you already have Underworld Breach. Yeah, you already have Underworld Breach. It's a good example of if you want to play a very, very, very powerful Jeskai deck and you love Captain America, you can do this and you can make a deck that's almost a cEDH deck.
It's like how
it'll win a quarter of your games if you're a good pilot.
It's like how we say every deck can be a cEDH deck. There's just some bad cEDH decks.
Yeah, this can be there. It's probably if Elsha on paper is probably better, right? Whatever.
Yeah, I would think so.
But I mean, it also like Blue Farm is on paper better than everything, and it doesn't always win. That's not how Magic works. What you want to play with is what you should play with.
Now, more recently, we've gotten a couple of other things. We got Sonic the Hedgehog very recently.
I don't. Do we have to talk about Sonic? Can we talk about Knuckles?
Well, I was gonna talk about Shadow because Shadow's the actual one that I've seen in command zones.
Yeah, in command zones. Yeah.
Knuckles is better for the 99.
I've seen some Sisei pilots that like it quite a lot.
It does seem like it's really good. Being able to get your double professional facebreaker treasures, like when you deal combat damage to players, seems really strong. But I do like
it's 2 power.
Yeah,
works well with Delny. Is that 4 treasures with Delny? Is that how it's worded?
Dude, it works with Delny.
Works with Delny.
That's fucking correct.
Crazy, right? That's really good.
Wow, that's really good. You get double triggers on the double strike damage, and then you get double triggers on the regular strike damage.
So it's 4 treasures. So if you have Delny out and you play Knuckles and you attack, and then you get the mana back right away with just Knuckles, right? That's cool.
And that's just for Knuckles. That doesn't include if you hit another player.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Really strong.
Knuckles, I don't think is great as a commander. You know what I mean? I guess it could be, but I like it in the 99 specifically.
Me too. Yeah. I think Shadow's a little bit better in the command. If I had to pick any of these for the command zone, I would pick Shadow.
Yeah.
And even then, I think Shadow's still a little bit tough because
she's
really strong. Shadow gives your spells split second if you cast them with a treasure.
It costs black, red, and you get a 3/3, 2/2?
A 4/2 with haste, and then whenever he or another creature with flash or haste dies, you draw a card.
Realistically, although this card is sweet, the split second is insane, I think it's a lot like Cutzel, and Cutzel doesn't really see any play. Do you know what I mean? It's just a commander that makes your shit hard to interact with. Cutzel's in green-white, which sucks. Black-red's almost good.
Do you mean Cutzel as in Cutzel doesn't see play like in the command zone?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Cutzel doesn't see play in the command zone.
But he sees play in the 99 sometimes.
In some decks, and I think Shadow might see play in the 99 of some decks. yes, it will be another Grand Abolisher. It's going to be, you know what I mean? But as a commander, I'm still not sold on it yet.
Me neither. Honestly, you saying that Cutzel doesn't see play makes me think that Voice of Victory outpowered Cutzel not too long after that came out, which makes me not want to be attached to Shadow because he's going to get outpowered by something even better at protecting.
4 mana so much.
Yeah.
If this was 2 mana, a red and a black, I'd be like, holy shit, we got something real
This would be a blue farm card,
this would
probably.
Be an incredible card, but it's just, I think it's just overcosted.
Yeah, just a little bit too much, yeah. And then the last one that I have to talk about here is Final Fantasy. Because I know what you're saying, though, Cam, by the time this episode came out, the whole Spider-Man set has come out.
We're talking about Spider-Man soon.
We've already talked about Spider-Man very recently. A lot about Spider-Man. We've had like 2 episodes of Spider-Man recently. Yeah. We did the whole set review like we always do a set review for. And then we did that whole other episode where we were just riffing on the Spider-Man commanders that we were building for the gameplay episode. When that episode went very well.
Yeah. Now you've locked in that we must record those.
So we've done a lot of Spider-Man, and even still, where we're at in the month of October, I think it's too new to officially know exactly where a lot of these Spider-Man commanders are going. And again, I don't know how many great ones that we ended up getting either. So that being said, the final universe that we have to talk about today is the most recent one that we got at the time of recording, which is Final Fantasy.
And there's a couple ones in this. Although I don't know more than any other ones. 2 or 3 is what I mean by a couple.
Well, yeah, which it ends up being more than a lot of other universes, I'll say. Yeah, because we've talked a little bit about VV already and how VV for 0 mana lets you add a combination of red or blue mana to your mana pool equal to the power of VV once a turn, only on your turns. And whenever you cast a non-creature, VV deals a damage to each of your opponents and gets a +1/+1 counter.
Extremely good with curiosity effects, with Tandem Lookout, with Ophidian Eye.
And even without them, it's just such a good mana advantage commander.
It's still kind of Burgy. It's still like kind of a Burgy, which is nice to have a weird Burgy in your command zone too.
I've taken out players just by having a Harmonic Prodigy in play and just value storming my way through my deck without a curiosity.
Yeah, and then VV gets huge also. Like VV also just accidentally gets big, so if you need to attack and put on some pressure, you have that option too, which is really nice.
I think we've already said this deck is very strong, just hasn't found whatever it needs to get a tournament win. I don't know if maybe builds need to improve, or maybe just we need a whole strategy change on a whole, or maybe if we're just going to find out this sucks having to rely on curiosity in particular, and like needing one of these cards that are very difficult to tutor for in the deck.
It feels strange to me because it feels very broken. Like it feels like whenever I play against it, it feels like Nadu. It feels like a similar level, but it doesn't have the results to show that up yet. So I don't know if it's maybe just the right pilots haven't picked it up, if it's just gotten unlucky in tournaments, if it's small sample size, or whatever the reason. Maybe it is just not good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's small sample size.
Yeah. But part of me thinks that we just don't know the best VV build too.
Yeah.
Because there's people that have tried out like the Dragonstorm versions where you can use Dragonstorm as a 1-card win condition to go get 2 versions of Niv Mizzet and then just like win the game on the spot. But that seems also like I'm not trying to play an 8-drop, even though my commander's able to do that. I find VV makes me 4 to 5 mana at maximum on the turn that I win.
Yeah.
And VV ends up being a 20/20 still at the end of that turn, but I'm just never getting the opportunity to make that much mana.
The point at which you need to press VV is like kind of right at the early parts of you going off, like you said, for just the 4 or 5 mana. And then once you have that mana, all of your spells are like free or cheap. A lot of them are cantrips, so you can just like use that mana to just draw you cards, and that's all you need. Then the cards that you draw will be more mana. Then you'll play more mana afterwards.
Yeah, you get to a point where like you kind of like, okay, I can cast a few things, but now if I want to keep going, I gotta go. And then you're just a blue-red interactive storm deck, so you have a lot of options to just remove something and draw 3 more cards just to kind of really help yourself keep going.
Yeah, deck seems super sweet. I think it's one of the better ones we talked about. What's our list right now? Somewhere like Ezio, Sauron, Lotho near the top. Lotho's at the top.
Marnius is at the very top, and then Ezio, and then Lotho are the top 3 that we have right now. And I think it's definitely better than Lotho.
I think so too. I like Vivi better than Ezio and Lotho. So.
I think better than Ezio too. Where do you have it versus Marnius? Where would you
I think Marnius is better.
It's a little bit more tried and true right now.
Yeah, your colors are still better.
You're able to politic a lot better. Like Marnius puts you in positions where you are less threatening to the table, whereas Vivi, you are always constantly a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're on Vivi, it's like almost like on you to lose the game, whereas like on Marnius, it's like it's your job to keep everyone alive for
which I also feel like is part of the reason why maybe Vivi has had trouble getting there for a tournament, when it's just that it's still so new and was the big scary thing out of this most recent set that other commanders like the next one we're going to talk about, Y'shtola, might actually be outperforming Vivi in tournaments because people had not perceived it as threatening.
Right, yeah, it gets to lay low a little bit.
Yeah, but Y'shtola's still really good though. And we're talking about specifically the Esper one that for 1 in Esper on a 2/4 with Vigilance says that at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, you deal 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life.
Yeah, this is one that I'm not super high on this card, but I do think it's like fine enough. Like it's very similar to Talion. It's very similar to that type of style. There's a couple other cards that do something similar that allow you to get from that 2 to 4 damage to draw you the card a little bit easier, but to me it feels like kind of a lot of hoops that you have to go through to get that card advantage.
I'll be honest, part of my thought process when I was looking into building an Esper deck more recently was, do I take Vivi apart and put Y'shtola together, and this way I can still have my opposite of a Tali deck while also having a good Curiosity deck that can still draw me cards without Curiosity.
That makes sense, yeah.
I feel like it could have scratched both itches, but I also feel like the overall power level and the ceiling of Y'shtola is worse than Vivi, even though Y'shtola gets to play better cards than Vivi on an average.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
My Vivi list plays a lot of bad cards. I'm on weird pump spells. I'm on a lot of things that are just like good with Vivi. I'm on cantrips. Like those aren't great cards.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My issue with Y'shtola is that it forces you to play a slow game.
Yeah.
Which is also what Marnius does, but Marnius I think does that really well. And I think the things that Marnius works well with are already really good cards, and the things that Y'shtola works well with are not already good cards.
Already bad cards.
Right? Like that's obviously there are some bad cards in both of these decks, not just the Y'shtola. Marnius has some bad ones too, but like Marnius works really well with Lotho, already a staple we talked about earlier. Y'shtola works well with Curiosity, a nothing card if not well with Curiosity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Works well with, like all these other things that players can end up playing around way better, like Blood Chief's Ascension and stuff like that. Yeah,
and it's obvious to your opponents where they should do something. If you get rid of the Y'shtola, it kind of stops your thing, right? It's a little bit less obvious in maybe some other decks.
Yeah, it's one of these things that does, and like life total is a good thing to fight against on opponents because a lot of opponents will use their life total as a resource.
Right.
But they can keep track of how much life they're losing to make sure that they're not in that dangerous of a position against you, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still a cool deck. Probably going to do well. It's in Dimir colors. It draws cards.
Yeah.
That's good.
But then Final Fantasies also gave us Kefka, though, too.
Which I like Kefka a lot. Should we see what Kefka does?
Yeah. So Kefka is 2 and Grixis for a 4/5. And whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card, and then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. And you can transform them if you have 8 mana, so that way you get a 5/7 flyer that draws you as many cards as you lose life during your turn.
Right. The flip side is not really what
you're never doing that.
Yeah,
you're never doing that.
Yeah,
realistically, you're trying to cast Kefka, clone Kefka, get Kefka to attack, so that way you can generate a bunch of value off of this trigger that Kefka has.
The Kefka thing can be super powerful. The thing that I have found that I think Kefka pilots maybe need to look out for is that if there is a Rhystic Study at the table, what you end up doing is kind of eliminating the 2 other players and not the Rhystic Study player.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the Kefka thing and you're casting a clone and you're getting another Kefka trigger, and you're doing a thing and you're getting another Kefka trigger or whatever, and the other players are also giving the Rhystic Study player cards to choose from to discard as the game goes on. So what'll happen is 2 of the players will end up being hellbent, but the other player will still have 5 or 6. And normally you'll have more cards than that. You'll have like 10, so you'll still be at an advantage. But it's important, I think, to like recognize when that could be happening, that like you might be giving the game to someone else very slightly by doing this over and over again because they're just looting, not discarding because of the Rhystic.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen Kefka do some very powerful things, but I've also seen Kefka struggle to keep up in boards against other people's card advantage too.
Yeah, and it seems like for some reason, like it's in Grixis colors, it should have an easy time winning, but without intuition and being on the slow side of Grixis, it is a little bit slower of a win. I've been playing against a couple Kefka decks where they can't pivot, they can't turn the corner at the right time, which is kind of my issue with Tivit a while ago. And even Tivit had a better like a 1-card win condition straight up in the command zone, but sometimes it felt like Tivit would be presented with a window and then couldn't really capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kefka is in a similar boat of like, it's just a little slow. Its thing is good, but it's a little slow. So you end up kind of giving your opponents little micro windows that they otherwise maybe wouldn't need to have. Right?
And like you also also kind of like force people to cast their spells too, because they know that discards are coming up.
Right,
So like,
which ends up feeding the Rhystic Study. They don't want to get rid of the card anyway. They got to play it. They don't have extra mana. They feed the Rhystic.
And then I've also had people say, no, Kefka's really good when you build Turbo Kefka. But why? That doesn't make any sense to me. Turbo Kefka, why would you just not play Rogsai and do like the good version of Turbo?
And also interesting, like Kefka early on, I think is a little bit worse than a Kefka later on, because the Kefka early on, your opponents still have 5 cards in hand. So if you Kefka, copy Kefka, they discard 3, they still have 2. Whereas if you get it in the late game where they've used those cards, you can maybe get the last 3 cards out of their hands.
The ones that they're saving for the right moment. It's
Right.
like in Limited when you have Mind Rot, and it's bad to do a Mind Rot when they have the choice of what to discard when they have 2 out of 5 to discard. But if you can get their last 2 cards, it's
incredible.
Like,
discard your whole hand now.
The things that they didn't have the mana to cast, that it was their big win condition or their bomb that they were just trying to make sure they could protect.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm not sure about the turbo aspect, but you know, who knows? It's still Grixis, it can do whatever. But yeah, that's for me, if I were to build Grixis, it would be on the slower end, and then I'm nervous about how the fuck do I win the game in time.
If I want to build Kefka for that.
Which I think I've talked to you about, maybe I should build Kefka. I am still Rockside.
Remember how I was like, oh, I bought a Kefka, maybe I'll buy Kefka because it's like Grixis Atali.
Yeah.
I don't think I want it. I think I'd rather play Atali against other Kefkas that play more clones and stuff, and just try to clone my Atali more.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah, so keep playing Kefka. But those are all the universes that I want to talk about.
I have one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Terra from Final Fantasy.
Oh my god, how the hell did we not talk about Terra? Yeah.
Terra is one that I've been playing for a generic, a red and a green. You get a creature with several creature types. That is a 4/2. It says when it enters, you mill 5, and you can put an enchantment from that 5 into your hand, and then it has some other words that are not important at all and will never be used whatsoever.
Because you're never going to flip Terra.
You're never going to flip Terra. Realistically, what Terra is a 5-color good stuff commander. It's similar to Ezio, but what you get access to is a food chain line. I'm not even positive the food chain line is the best way to go about it. Probably just like regular 5-color Underworld Breach stuff is pretty good.
It is a weird line. You have to Terra your deck away into your graveyard so that way you can get back one of the 2 enchantment creatures that let you get back Thassa's Oracle from your graveyard.
And right now I'm only playing one of those things.
Well, one of 2, just so that way I didn't have to say one of the names of the cards.
Because we have forgotten
of
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're both on screen.
One of them is like Snarl, Grim Snarl. No, that's a Pokemon.
Grim Snarl's totally a Pokemon. I know exactly what you want to be doing right now.
Yeah. One of them is there's 2 enchantment creatures that if you can make infinite creature mana with food chain, and you can mill your deck with Terra by casting Terra over and over again. After you use Squee with the food chain to make the infinite mana, then you can eventually get back a Destiny Spinner and then one of those enchantments, and the enchantment can either get back Underworld Breach if you still have extra mana, or just Thassa's Oracle.
I love combos that have the protection aspect built in after it's too late for someone to do something.
It's too late, yeah.
Like every time that you go, all right, I'm gonna find Teferi in the middle of your Sisei searches. I'm happy you did that because I want you to win, but I'm also like, we don't like. That's a step that I just love that is built in the middle when it's too late.
Well, because sometimes like that's the most convenient spot, and like I want to leave up other mana to potentially pivot if you have something.
That's the thing, yeah. And there are players that will sandbag interaction,
right?
Too.
Yeah, and like once I got a point, like sometimes it's just like free for me to like do it in the middle, and then like sometimes I do that too because like my opponents might not know when it is the right time to interact. They're trying to wait. They think it's still coming,
or they're trying to get your Esper Sentinel. They want you to mill your deck so that way they can like Esper Sentinel you, but before they have priority, you're like, oh, I'll sack it to something.
Weirdly, also like Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast cannot hit food chain, cannot hit Terra, cannot hit Squee. But if I go all the way through, cast the thing and cast Thoracle,
then they do that on the Thoracle.
It's like, that was stupid.
That's so funny. Yeah,
like an easy.
It's weird how there are. It looks silly. Yeah. I'll admit it looks silly, but I'll also admit there are scenarios where like you need to be prepared for stuff.
And it's also like it can be found off of natural Terra in the early game, and then it can just be used to like Terra food chain. It just protects the food chain later or whatever.
No, I think it's good, and it is an integral part of the line. It's just funny where it shows up. Like
and
no one's gonna counter it.
Yeah, exactly. There's some other lines besides the 2 enchantment creatures that are on screen that we can't remember the name of right now that get a permanent or something back.
I bet it's Gloom Shrieker. And then the other
one's like Overlord or the Baelmerk. That's what it is. Yeah,
we're really good at this.
Really good. Which I tried Overlord. Overlord's fine. I took it out because realistically, you don't want to do it as the first mode, because if you do it as the first mode, like the 2 mana version, to like gain some value from it, then you don't have it later on.
You never have access to it anymore.
So you can't get the Thoracle back later on. So like it's really not good in the first mode. Same kind of true for Grim. But what is it? Grim? What is it? I lost it again already.
It's Grim Snarl now. It's just Grimmsnarl.
Yeah. You could also do Perforos. Perforos is an enchantment creature that is a creature, so you can play with Food Chain, but it's an enchantment, so you can find it with Terra as you're going through your loop, cast a Perforos, and then just keep on going through the loop, ping everyone damage.
See, I'm realizing that the reason why we're going into more detail the later that we get into the podcast is because these are all newer commanders.
Fresher
You've all had time to think about what the fuck Glenn and Marnius do.
Right.
But these guys are still new.
All this to say, I've actually liked Terra quite a lot. For some reason, I feel like I'm getting like weirdly lucky with the deck sometimes. It's just like, it's 5-color Nas, so like everything I hit is good. It's like more mana or Necro, or like there's just like less bad cards.
You know what's funny? I played against the Terra at Locals the other night, and the 2 Terra triggers that he got 0 cards into his hand. And I feel like every time that I play against you, it's always, oh, look at that, it's Food Chain, it's Underworld Breach, it's Mystic Remora. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, recently specifically, I think, since I like switched it over from like the not a Terra deck.
The fewer enchantments you've put in the deck, the better you've been at hitting good enchantments.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, like when I'm playing Terra, I'm not trying to hit the enchantment. It's just like, I don't think now's the right time for me to push.
I just want a Fierce Guardianship.
I just want to hold that Fierce Guardianship. I just want to fill my graveyard so that Underworld Breach is better later. I just want to like not do nothing because like,
oops, Smothering Tithe.
Right.
Okay.
And then it's like incredible value, and it's also like a tilt factor. Everyone goes, oh, what are the odds? Of course, they get tilted. You know what I mean? Whatever.
It's like a Winota trigger though. Like you're looking at almost the same amount of cards as a Winota trigger does. Your deck's just built a little bit differently for it. But
I do have like overall, there's like no extra enchantments, but that's not exactly true. Mirror Maid is in there. Steel Enchantment.
Those aren't really extra. If you're trying to build it for a cEDH setting, a tournament setting, I think that those are cards you really want. So if you're playing Terra just naturally in cEDH, I feel like those are still good cards to include.
Honestly, like it's exactly what you need to find when you're casting Terra, because Terra is similar, a little bit better than casting Silas. It's like not really what I'm trying to do. It's just like what I want to do when there's nothing else to do because I don't feel like I can push here. But when you do get to like recover in those situations and find Steel Enchantment or copy Artifact or whatever, any of these things that like take from your opponent or copy what your opponents have, it's really good. And honestly, like yes, they're better in TDH, but like Rhystic Study and Smothering Tithe still see.
What are you gonna do? Not play them in your casual cEDH decks or something?
All of the cEDH decks are like still really trying to have turn 1 Mystic Remores and Rhystic Studies and Smothering Tides. These cards are still like the best cards.
Do you know what I want to do with them? I want to Born Upon the Wind and copy someone's Underworld Breach and then win on top of their win. Win upon their win. Yeah, with like their brain freeze on the stack, so that they can't like keep going in response to you.
Yeah, it gives you some options. I recently took out Carpet of Flowers and put in Copy Enchantment.
Yeah, good, because I think I want to take Carpet of Flowers and Wild Growth out of Italia, and I really hope by the time this podcast has come out that they are not in my deck anymore.
Right, yeah.
And that's how I'm gonna remember that.
The carpet can be great, but sometimes it's nothing. Yeah. And obviously, so is Copy Enchantment. Sometimes Copy Enchantment's nothing. But I think what Copy Enchantment has the ability to do is like claw you back into games that you didn't otherwise have a little bit more. Whereas Carpet of Flowers can like, it's maybe some convenience mana, which is nice. The whole deck is mana.
Copy Enchantment could also be mana.
It can be Smothering Tithe.
But it can also be card draw, right? And the mana that it could be can potentially be better and more flexible, but you are just relying on your opponent on getting something good down, which your opponents want to get something good down.
Exactly.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, like, so, yeah, Steel Enchantment, Mirror Maid, Copy Enchantment, they're all in Terra. I think it's just like, if I'm going to play enchantments, those are the ones that I want to play. I just want more Rhystic Studies. And sometimes, like, Necropotence, the common line with Necropotence recently is like turn 1 Necropotence, win on turn 2. So if you turn 1 Necropotence, and then I can Copy Enchantment your Necropotence before you get to win, that's really good.
That's really good.
I've been loving Terra. Terra's great. I think it's the best deck that we talked about all day.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, weirdly enough, speaking of rankings, like we haven't been ranking these, and for a play to win episode, this is definitely very weird, but this whole episode has been pretty weird. So I think that's just kind of on brand with this. So I think this will just be, what are the best Universes Beyond Commanders? And these are the best Universes Beyond Commanders, not ranked in any way,
but the best Universes Beyond Commanders that we're thinking about right now.
That everyone should be thinking
Everyone should be thinking about.
That's very true.
Realistically, Marnius is probably the best because it has a decent amount of results, maybe.
If we're going off of tournament pedigree,
Lotho recently did well. I would perfectly, and no one is going to say anything otherwise.
I would honestly say all 4 of the Final Fantasy decks that we talked about too would come next it somewhere.
Yeah.
And like your own biases are going to depend on how you would rank them.
Right.
I think Vivi's better than all the other ones that we talked about.
You're probably right. I have a little bit of a bias towards Terra because I think 5-color good stuff is a crazy deck, and having Citrus Supplier in the command zone is nice.
But there's Kefka players out there that are going to tell us that Kefka is better than all of them, even though they're so wrong.
Yeah.
So,
and I would love to hear them say that. Y'shtola in particular, I feel like they have a very powerful army of players because they know they have to talk a lot because their deck stinks.
Yeah. The more people
Making
have
enemies.
to convince you to play their deck, the worse it is.
Red flag.
Red flag. Yeah. Red flag. All I had to say, someone on the subreddit asked about the cEDH subreddit asked about, hey, I want to get into cEDH. I want to play a storm deck. Like, what sort of deck should I play? And I just said Atali. Nothing else has to be said, right? That's how you know it's a good deck.
Yeah,
You just have to say the name of it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Dan Nandez, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Mr. Jerby, The Cardboard Cookbook, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Pat Fires, Spangler, Demetrius Clark, Larceny Roy, Zorby Blue, Sparky B, Insomnia, SC Phillip, Olden Groupie, Zach Hartley Reactive, Sean in the Ice, Gabriel Garrett, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Zippon, Joshua Day, Peter Stewart, Corner Wild, Uncle Butts, Noosh, Quadja A. Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Show, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on social media for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Jason Brooks, Safarius, Ash Wayne, Hunter the Warlock, John Koba, The Gaming Kikajao, Sarcastic, Bill Bob, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Jabaha, Dalton Poteet, Justin Jan Wild, Fang Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson.